Hello, I'm Bernard Hickey from interest.co.nz and welcome to a special housing report brought to you in association with the Bank of New Zealand. Today we look at a couple of things: building consents and housing credit. Building consents looks at the number of new houses approved to be built in October. And in October it was down 1.1% seasonally adjusted from September. Just 1,096 buildings were approved. That's excluding apartments, which can be quite volatile. This was the lowest number since July 2009 and shows the housing sector in a really poor place. Housing lending too has been very weak. In October, Reserve Bank stats show that it was just $103 million extra lent into households for the month. This was the lowest new lending growth for any month since stats started in 1998. However, are we seeing a pickup in November? Remember, the weather's been fantastic. People are out there looking at houses, and the banks do seem to be somewhat keener to lend. We've seen some tiny rate cuts for particularly the longer-term fixed rates, down from around 6.7 to 6.6% on average for all the banks. And the banks are starting to offer up a few more incentives through broker channels. Also, the tax cuts kicked in from October the 1st. And we're starting to hear some anecdotal evidence that things are warming up a bit, albeit from a pretty quiet place in the housing market. It's certainly a buyer's market too. There's a lot of inventory on the market, and people who have cash to spend are in a stronger position than they used to be. Housing affordability, or at least home loan affordability, is as good as it was in mid-2004. It's a combination of relatively low interest rates, rising incomes, and house prices either being flat or slightly falling in many places. Also, the fact that floating mortgage rates are still cheaper than fixed rates, around about 6.2 versus 6.6 for the fixed rates, means that a lot of people are choosing to float rather than fixed at the moment, and the proportion of the mortgage book, total mortgages out there, that is now floating is up to 42% from 40% a month or so ago. Also, it's up from 13% at the end of 2007 as the property boom got right to its peak. So there we have it, a housing report brought to you in association with the Bank of New Zealand.